97% of traditional finance, go to school, get a job, put your money in a 401k, go to school, start a business, put your money in the stock market. Anything that you consider traditional, 97% of that is dangerous, misleading, or outright wrong.
The first time that I listened to you guys, your message was so different. And that attracted me.
We've been trained, taught, and educated in our world today that someone else is going to care more about our money, our results, and our success than we will. And that will never happen.
I need to find my message. How do I become this polarizing? Like, where am I going to find this?
One of the reasons that we get so much attention is a lot of people don't like that message. That frustrates them. Human beings don't like to be wrong.
We need to start publishing, right? And you need to stay consistent, and you need to see that. And for us, like the connection was the second we started publishing consistently, that's when we started finding our voice.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
Let's go. Yeah, we don't have the sounds on this one.
We have to bring our board. But anyways, we can
do some improvising. Yeah, that's fine.
We can do some improvising here. But anyways, Fonzie, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking all about cash flow, financial freedom, and of course we're going to be digging into some of the marketing on today's guest company, because I'm very excited.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
We've seen a lot of the growth that they've experienced, and it's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. All right. So with that said, guys, if you're enjoying obviously these episodes, go ahead and follow us on social media at BIZBROS. And then in your favorite podcasting platform, make sure you ring that bell so you know when those episodes are coming to your devices.
That is right. And if today's guests help you take one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode, because you might be doing the same exact thing for somebody else.
That's right. So today we're back with another epic guest. We met him through the ClickFunnels community, and they have been on the top of our list for quite some time.
Oh yeah. He's currently teaching people how to become financially free in 10 years or less through his company, Cashflow Tactics.
I think that impacted over 8,000 people, probably way more with their content. Very impressive.
Yeah, I took that from their website. So hopefully it's right, you know? Who knows? Maybe they're like even higher than that. Guys, please welcome the newly named Cashflow King himself, Ryan Lee.
Let's go.
I love it. That was a lot of fun, man. You guys keep up your mission, educate, inspire. I love what you guys do. It's such a pleasure to be on with you guys today. So thank you very much. Love talking to the two of you. I've been a big fan of yours as well. Watching a lot of growth. New studio, man. New lights, lots of fun stuff going on.
We gotta keep it in the download for a little bit. We might chop that out, but it's okay. We like to tease people.
No, we don't chop anything off this podcast.
Nothing. Everything
as
goes.
Awkward as it gets, it'll go live.
Yeah. But Ryan, we're extremely honored, right? Like I remember we met you through our amazing friend Josh 40, and what you guys have been doing, and we've been connected for at least the last 3 years, and you guys have helped so many people, right? So obviously, the fact that you guys made it into the show, we're very interested to know, obviously, a little bit of like your company, what you guys do, how you guys are helping people with that financial freedom. But also on our side of the show, we're very interested on how do you guys getting that message to so many people, right? It's what you guys are doing is amazing. Taz, you were just mentioned that you have like this amazing studio at your home and your office. You're like, this is like a machine. So obviously, we're gonna get to talk to that, because people that listen to us, they're looking for that as well. And how can they get their message consistently? But before we get into that, can you give us like the quick version of Cashflow Tactics and what you guys are doing with these amazing people?
Yeah, you know what? Our mission is simple. It's to inspire people to take control over their money. I think, we've been trained, taught, and educated in our world today that someone else is going to care more about our money, our results, and our success than we will. And that will never happen. And so our objective is to empower people with the financial IQ and the insights to take control over their money, and then to use it strategically as a tool to achieve the measurable success of financial freedom in 10 years or less. But more than that, and I think we'll talk a lot about this in our conversation today, it's to really rise up and live free. It's to use money as a tool to build and live a life that is meaningful and relevant to you. And I think that's been the secret to our success, is we give them a measurable something that they can track progress towards, but we really inspire people to really go and embark on a mission that's bigger than money.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, and I think like one of the things that it resonated with me so much when I got to listen to you guys on stage in your programs is that you really empower the people to take control, and they create like. Our money education was not the best, right? Like we never.
I would even consider it being close to inexistent.
Inexistent, right? Like our mom is, in the education system, right? Always a salary type of person, right? We never talked investments. We never talked entrepreneurship at home. Our dad was always, chasing. We call him chasing tigers, right? Whereas like this little project over here, this other project over here. He was a little entrepreneurial, but never really. We were coming from middle class, so we had like really good opportunities. But at the same time, we were not taught to how to handle money, right? Like how do we do this? So we levitated when we came to the States towards, hey, let's build our business. But from there on, we're like, then what? Like how do we handle this, right? And I think the first time that I listened to you guys, your message was so different than anybody else that I've listened before. And that attracted me a lot. So can you go into a little bit of your messaging and how do you guys tackle that?
Yeah, and I think we learned this inside of the world of ClickFunnels, right? I mean, Russell always taught us to be polarizing, right? And if we blend into everything else, then we're just fighting for average. And so our number one mission is to help people understand that, and there's a whole lot of thought process that's behind this and things that we help people see. So this statistic isn't just a statistic. It has a lot of evidence and data behind it. But 97% of traditional finance, go to school, get a job, put your money in a 401k, go to school, start a business, put your money in the stock market. Anything that you consider traditional, 97% of that is dangerous, misleading, or outright wrong. And if I can come to the table and I can throw rocks at that, because the objective of traditional finance is average, right? Everyone's shooting for average investments, average retirement, average rate of return, average timeframes. And to win in that world, it's average plus one. But winning in an average world still is not winning when it comes to finance and money. And so if you look at the anomalies, if you look at the people that are outside of the average world, it's not that they did average better. They did the exact opposite. So we represent the 3%. Now, if 97% is dangerous, misleading, and wrong, then the 3% is the exact opposite. So that's the message that we come to the table with is, look, the reason you're stuck with money is because you're clinging and desperately fighting for average. Yeah. If the opposite of average is extraordinary, if you want extraordinary results, financial freedom in 10 years or less, you've got to think differently. You've got to handle money differently, and you've got to take different actions based on that paradigm. So that's really how we present ourselves. And to be honest with you, one of the reasons that we get so much attention is a lot of people don't like that message. That frustrates them. Human beings don't like to be wrong, especially when we go out to this curated financial world with degrees and Wall Street buildings and all of that. No, they don't like people throwing rocks at them saying that what they're doing is dangerous, misleading, or outright wrong. But all of the evidence supports it, right? I mean, you can go Google retirement crisis and see it's evident everywhere in our world. Yeah. But yet everyone follows the same advice. So that's kind of how we started. Is we came out with a very controversial message, and we stand our ground on it. Like when people come and work with us, we tell them, look, you're either all in with us. If we're just part of your diversified plan, don't work with us. That's not who we work with. We work with people who are 100% focused on one definitive end: financial freedom in 10 years or less.
So good. I love it. So this comes to mind, right? And this is more on the marketing side of things, but I believe that you guys got that message through experience, right? You guys worked on, the financial industry. You guys have been entrepreneurial, all that. But for somebody, right, that they're thinking, all right, I need to find my message. How do I become this polarizing? Like, where am I going to find this? What is something that they can do, right? How can they move forward to start finding this defining message that is going to separate them, that is going to, like you said, is not going to make them blend with average, and they can get the attention that the business serves?
No, I love that question. That's such a good question. So look, here's kind of what I think about with the FONZI. There's two things that we're actually trying to accomplish. I believe every business is doing a version of the same thing. Most of us, especially for, smaller size companies, most of us are just serving the version of who we were 5 years ago, right? We had a problem 5 years ago or 10 years ago or a period of time ago that we found a solution to. So all we have to do is we have to turn around and remember who we were 5 years ago, the pain that we were in, the challenges that we were facing, the hopelessness that we felt, whatever that is, you have to recreate that emotion. And then once you can recreate that emotion, then it gives you a better ability to articulate your value proposition to the marketplace. So for us, we wanted to do two things, right? Number one, we wanted to give them a measurable, defined idea, right? Because the world of finance is so nebulous, right? If I ask people today, what does success look like? They'll tell me it's getting a good rate of return or reducing my taxes or having a bunch of money in the market. And all those things, while they might quote unquote be good, how do you know if you're successful? Like, I mean, yeah, you reduce your taxes, but are you free? Can you retire? Whatever you want to call it. So we had to get a very, very specific measurable target in place to say, yeah, I know when I've hit it. I know when I'm successful. So that's the financial freedom in 10 years or less. It's not retirement, maybe with my fingers crossed at age 65, right? Yeah. All of those little things have to lead up to a definitive end. So we put that together. But then the second thing, most people justify the reason they do business with you logically. They justify it. That's 10% of the decision that they make. But the majority, the 90% of the reason that they're making a decision is it's emotionally driven. It's emotionally driven. So as a new business owner trying to identify and articulate their value proposition, what are the emotions that your ideal avatar has? Negative or positive? Usually you're going to try to pull people. You can identify with them in the negative because they have a problem, and you're going to lead them to the promised land, the promise of what your company will do, the positive. And so that for us, that's where Rise Up Live Free came from. Right. I'll never forget, we had this idea of financial freedom. I'm like, cool, that's the outcome. It's live free. Yeah. But then what's the pain point that they have? And for us, our avatar, for me 10 years ago, I felt out of control. No matter what I did, it resulted in me giving my money, what I had traded my time for, to someone else, hoping that they had my best interest in mind, but then being set on the side to say, is it working or is it not? Can we make it go faster? Yes or no? Do you have any idea why did my account balance go down? Do you have any idea, or I just have to wait it out? So my biggest pain point was I had no control. And without any control, I couldn't impact it. I couldn't predict it. I was just along for a ride. So Rise Up came from the idea of, it wasn't until I took control over my money that the possibility of financial freedom in 10 years or less opened up. Because now with control, I could make the decisions move. So Rise Up Live Free, that's on, I don't think it's on this shirt, but it's on most of our shirts. And people like post pictures all over the internet of them rising up and living free. That's the emotion. And then the logic is I'm rising up and living free so that I can achieve financial freedom in 10 years or less. So it's emotional and logical combined.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen those pictures everywhere. Like you guys truly have a, for in the good sense of the word, a cult, like the people that follow you guys. And that's what you guys want, right? We actually were listening to a podcast the other day where they asked the host, it's like, okay, how can you build a good community? He's like, in my opinion, you shouldn't be building a community. You need to build a cult, like people that just fight for you. They want to be for you. They relate to you in every single aspect, right? And that's what I see, like a community kind of like exist within that cult, right? And that's what I see. Powerful. Yeah, that's what I see with you guys. Like you guys have impacted so many people, and the message truly resonates, right? And I'm curious, right? I was talking to my brother on the way here, and I was like, it's two different things to rise up, like get all the way to the top, and then is a whole different thing, maintain yourself there, like stay there. And I'm so curious, in your company, you guys, how did you guys rise up? So you told me about the story, right? How you find your message, all these things, but maybe what were some of the activities that help you, lift your company to the point that where it is today? Was it, maybe some strategic partnerships, right? Was it you guys immediately started pumping out content and trying to get attentions, PR? Like, I'm curious, how did you guys, start building that cult and drove yourself up to the top?
Oh man, that's such a great question. So, inside of what we do for clients as it relates to their money, we build what's called a game plan. And the game plan really is a definition of, in 10 years from now, what does our life look like, feel like, and be like, and what are the measurables behind it? Then we back that 10-year outcome into 3-year objectives, 1-year objectives, and 90-day targets. That way I can see the big picture. I can see the vision of where I'm going. It's my North Star. I can see all the things measurably that I want to accomplish in the next year. And I have a picture of what my financial plan will look like in 3 years. But more importantly, I have my narrowly focused 90-day target. And the 90-day target is based on the one thing. If you've ever read that book, The One Thing, what's the one thing I can do such that if I do it, it makes everything else easier or even unnecessary? It's that domino effect of that chain reaction. My friends, that's exactly what we do inside of our business. Like inside of our business, we have a 10-year target. That's our core focus as a company. And every decision we make, if it's a little bit controversial, is it off brand or on brand? Is it within our core focus or not? We align it with that 10-year vision. What are we doing with people to get them to this objective? And we've spot checked our decision making so many times on that 10-year vision that we have inside of our company. Then we bring it back to 3 years. And here's the funnest part, at least for me and Brad, you guys, my business partner, Brad.
Absolutely.
Brad is very, very math driven, numbers driven, and I'm very emotionally driven, right? I'm very visual. I'm very experience driven and those type of things. And so our 3-year picture is really a mental picture of what our company will look like. We've dreamed a dream, right? And we've identified what that dream is, from money in the bank account to corporate center to, sponsoring. Brad wants to sponsor a race car, and so all these things, that 3-year picture, like when we do our 1-year planning and our 90-day planning, that's when the rubber meets the road. The work has to happen. And the 3-year picture kind of gets us motivated and excited. We're building to this outcome. We're building to this end. I can feel it. I can see it. I can almost touch it. Then we step into the 1-year plan to say, hey, next year, when we all get together as a leadership team, what are the measurable things that we had to have accomplished over the last 12 months to make the 10-year outcome, and more importantly, the 3-year picture a reality? And then every 90 days, my friends, here's what we do. And it's the most monotonous, boring, mundane thing, but I would attribute every bit of our growth to it. So every 90 days, everyone, all the leadership team stops what they're doing. They drop everything and they meet in Utah. We set 90-day rocks. Those rocks are very clearly defined targets that each person is responsible for, disseminated to themselves or the teams. But we have company 90-day rocks that will move the needle forward towards the 1-year outcome and the 3-year picture and the 10-year outcome. Then those 90-day rocks every single week, like a religion. We've hardly ever miss it. Every Monday at 10 a.m., we have a leadership level 10 meeting where we review what are the rocks that we set, what are the progress that we're making, what are the issues that we're facing. So we work on the business every single week. And then during the week, we go back to working in the business, on the business, in the business, on the business, in the business. And then every 90 days, we check our progress. We miss some rocks. We reset them. We hit some rocks. We realize we shot too low, and we do it every 90 days. And guess what? That machine builds momentum. And as it builds momentum, you look back a year, 2, 5 years back and like, how did we get here? It's because we were consistently applying a process.
You just like showed the success roadmap for a lot of people, right? And a lot of people that listen to us, they might be listening and they might be starting their own businesses, right? They might be starting in that building stage, and some resources, right? I'm assuming EOS, right? You guys, and we personally use the book Traction at the beginning, right? And I think we can do a lot better, but that gave
I think our version is a little duct taped compared to what you just mentioned, right?
But I think, as a resource, I think people listen to the show that are building this, they can start there and continue to move forward, right? Whether that's on the business side and on their personal side. So I think it's really important, right? And I love that you shared this so openly. So thank you, Ryan, for that.
Well, it's so powerful. We have to, as entrepreneurs, like we are the best dreamers, visionaries, idea creators, but we are the worst. We are the worst at taking that idea and building, right? Because the second it gets hard, we're like, oh, there's another idea over there. That looks sexy and fun. Let me do that. And before we know it, we've tried 10 different businesses. We've had marginal success and failure across all 10, but we've not grown and scaled anything of meaning or impact. And here's the vision I would invite any new entrepreneur to consider for just a moment, because I'm just now experiencing it right now. Brad and I have, even though Cashflow Tactics is its brand today, and it's been a brand for 5 years, we've now been doing what we do for 11 years.
Wow.
The first 4 or 5 years, man, it was start, stop. Are we in business? Are we out of business? There were a couple of times that Brad and I decided, I mean, we every year we have a little tradition with each other that we quit. Right at the end of the year, we quit. And then we come back in the next year with our renewed commitment of, hey, I'm in still. But in order for me to want to be in, this is what I want the business to look like over the next 12 months. And it's been a really fun way to do it. But there were some times I didn't know if Brad was coming back in the beginning. He didn't know if I was coming back in the beginning because building a business is hard. But here's the crazy part, man. I'm 11 years in now. And now this momentum, this machine is moving independent of my efforts and energy. There's a team around. There's momentum in what we've done. There's referrals. There's traction. There are people, people who know us in the marketplace. It gets easier and your momentum happens faster and the scale happens at much bigger intervals if you're willing to do the consistent and sustained work of building a business. And that's being an entrepreneur and having an idea and building a business are two different things. Yeah. And we see so many entrepreneurs come and go, and every time they come, they have a different business because they're on to the next thing because it's easier and better. But very few people make it to 10 years and beyond. And the people who make it to 10 years and beyond, man, I'm talking to business owners now who've been in the game for 20, 30 years. And their business is orders of magnitude bigger than mine, but I can see now the pathway to have an empire versus have a side hustle.
Yeah, makes sense. You want to say something?
I want just to make an observation and thread the needle, right? Like business and on the content side, right? Because in our message is we need to start publishing, right? And you need to stay consistent and you need to see that. And there's so many similarities on both of them, right? Like how can we be consistent on each one of us? And for us, the connection was the second we started publishing consistently, that's when we started finding our voice. That's when we started finding and literally it translated into the thing that we do now, right? And we just shared this news with you off camera where that's a massive milestone for what we do. And it was achievable because of, hey, what is the goal? What's the bigger picture? And then let's work backwards to that. But we connected both. So a lot of people that listen to the show, right? They use their content and they're starting, they're stopping, they're starting, they're stopping. There's shiny object platform, shiny object format, right? So I want to make sure that for everybody that's listening to it, it applies for both at the same time, right? The commitment and consistency, make that decision and continue to grow, right? Start networking, start building your relationships, start making sure that you meet people that are probably, ahead of you and ask the questions, right? That maybe help you at the moment and see that future, right? For us, it became really, very real when we started the show, right? And Josh, our mutual friend, Josh 40, he was the inspiration behind the 3 episodes a week that we do, right? We're 450 episodes at the moment published, right? And he was the inspiration for us to start doing that. And that was a trigger for us. And that was a trigger that translated into the business, right? So I think everything is connected. So I just wanted to stop here and do a quick parenthesis to motivate and hopefully push people to continue to do what they're doing and stay consistent, right? Because we love to start things. You have the MVP dreamer over here, Fonzie, and MVP dreamer number 2, LUISDA, right? And we've had to wear multiple hats, which is fine, but identifying that to move forward is really, really important. So thank you, Ryan, for obviously that reflection that you did.
Yeah, so powerful.
Yeah. I'm dreaming about, is that the Narrows behind you?
Yeah, it is, man. Yeah. It is the Narrows.
I'm dreaming about that right now. That's such a cool place.
One of my favorite hikes in Utah, man.
It's incredible. We gotta take this guy one day.
Yeah.
But Ryan, something that really resonated with me when I met you guys, and we actually met Brad first, right? He was talking at, I think it was Steve's event. Yeah. He was talking at Steve Larson's event. And one of the things that caught my attention, it was first, obviously, I was not educated in the financial industry. So everything that potentially anybody could have said sounded as novelty for me. Wow, that is new, right? This new opportunity, right? And that is something that is talked about when doing marketing. It's okay, can you present somebody with a new opportunity that they can get on board with? But the more I met you guys and, I've seen the community, we know Josh 40, people that talk about it, you guys have a great product. It's not just great marketing. You just don't have a great message. You guys have a great product that people get behind. And, when I see this, I think that in a way attributes that big stickiness that people have with you guys, because they hear you, they see these concepts, this polarizing message might resonate with them. They go check you guys out, and then the products that you guys have, they just hook them, right? And it's like, hey, like this is quality all over the top, plenty of social proof. So now I go through social media and I see all these people talking about X products, right? Whatever products they're promoting, but I can see that the quality is not there. And that is like an immediate turnoff. So obviously for entrepreneurs, right, that are focusing on their message, there also needs to be a focus on product and make this thing, right, the best thing ever that is going to get people and retain their clients, right? So I'm curious, like, what was the process for you guys to build that? And you said you've been in that 11 years, so I'm sure it's been a long process, but what are maybe some of the recommendations for somebody that's building a product, building a service right now? How can they make it so impactful that it will retain anybody that decides to sign up with them for years to come?
Yeah, man, that I can't even tell you, Fonzie, how important that is. You know, I believe in the world that we live in today, it's easier than ever to get into business, but to build a business, to build an empire, it comes down to exactly what you said. It's selling a quality solution or a quality product, because if you don't do that, your business gets incrementally harder every single year you're in business. Because now in the world that we live in today, if you have a crappy product, then that means a crappy review, a crappy social media post, a crappy, a customer who got a crappy situation, and you have to market twice as hard to overcome the detrimental effect of a negative product. And the longer you stay in business, the harder and the harder and the harder it is, all because you started with a crappy product. But on the flip side of that, if you start with a good product, your business gets incrementally easier every single year you stay in business, because your customers want to do repeat business with you. They want to come back and do it over and over and over again. Your customers who have a quality product and a quality experience, they go tell their friends and like, oh my gosh, they did this for me and this blew me away. And then the next person that comes into your world, you didn't have to give Mark Zuckerberg any money. That person came into your world because a quality product delivered a quality solution that a person opened their mouth and talked about. And like the longer you stay in business, if your product is not good, the harder it's going to be to stay in business, and the more costly it's going to be to acquire a new customer. However, on the flip side, when you have a good product, our cost per acquisition goes down every single year because we have so much retained goodwill and people sharing that goodwill. So if anyone out there is getting ready to go into business, I would stop immediately. And become a product of your product. And if you're not the raving fan of your product, stop business, find something else, sell something else. Like if you do not believe wholeheartedly in your product and would not, use it yourself, sell it to your mom or your spouse, then my friends, you're not in business. You're looking to make money to solve a short-term problem, but I promise you what you're doing is going to create long-term ripple effects. Yeah.
There's like two examples that go to mind. Like the first one is when I was in the fitness industry, right, with the fitness studios. I remember we were encouraged by the company to take 4 workouts a week, right? We're like, we need to use the product, right, as employees. And that product got me ready for an 8-hour race and then a 24-hour race. And I was like living proof of that. So that energy, when you talk to that prospect that is coming through the doors, right, it translates into, hey, I'm serving you. Like, this is really where you need to be, right? Like, and then the transaction.
I'm going to say, we're going to have to start adding that policy to BIZBROS. 4 workouts a week. Mandatory. 4 workouts a week. I know. Hey, Ryan, the dad body is for real, man. Like this thing is, no bueno. But anyways, but it translates into that, right? And we had like our sales associates and our coaches that we have to go back into the studio and be with the members and use the product. And I remember like we will get those results personally. And then it's a very easy conversation with the person that's interested and asking questions, right? Same with us, right? We are so passionate about publishing consistently. Our form of publishing is mainly podcasts, and then you have the micro content, right? And you see it in the energy, right? You are so far ahead when you believe in your product, when you use your product, right? When you enjoy the process. So what you just say is so important, right? And like Fonzie said, we go online every single day and
we've been online, we're following these strategic people, and all of a sudden we see that person changing, right? And doing something else. And, you know, we can all relate with, you know, when Web3 came up, right? Everybody's like Web3 expert, right? And then when crypto came up, everybody's crypto, you know, expert. Then AI, everybody's AI expert, right? Prompt expert. And it's like, okay, well, what is the core business? Perfect. These are things that we can apply to our core business and can help us out. But really, this is making me not trust you enough. And it scares me a lot because obviously we've been following some of them for a couple of years now. We see it, but there's a lot of people entering the marketplace, being educated maybe by some, you know, very loud marketing, very loud messaging, right? And when they get into that, then they don't get the results that they're expecting, right? Or they don't get the respect by that business by fulfilling that. So with that said, we admire you guys because we're following you guys for a long time. And everything has been incredible, from feedback to connections to everything, all the conversations that we have around it. So I want to encourage everybody. We're going to actually leave all the links right below in the description. If you guys want to learn more about Ryan, Cashflow Tactics, and what they're doing, they're going to be right below.
Yeah, I'm here on your website right now and I'm looking at, obviously you guys have some really good numbers in there on properties, capital secured, monthly cash flow, all these things, right? But I'm curious on what is your current marketing strategy to drive people to obviously your products, your offers. You have a free training, right? And I went on your social media. You guys are doing micro content. I see you there. It looks super cold, wherever you are, man. I don't know. I'm here sweating in Florida, and the background of your short form content is literally ice and snow. So I'm curious, what are the strategy that the approach that you guys are taking right now to keep growing the business? Because like I said, it's one thing getting all the way to the top, and then it's a whole different thing staying at the top for a long, consistent period of time.
Man, I tell you what, that's a really fantastic question, Luis. And I love that because, I'm sorry, Fonzie, that was quite a great question. And I love what Luis said, because when you have a core business, you're constantly taking what's working and not working in the marketplace, and you're plugging it back in your core offer. Yeah. So, you know, Luis, you were just talking about, hey, AI experts, you know, Web 3.0 experts, all these different things. If you have a core business, you take that and you say, hey, here's how AI will help you do my core business better to get you this outcome for your life. And so, really, what's going on, Fonzie, right now inside of our business is we're actually redoing how we generate new clients and new awareness. Oh, wow. You know, to be honest with you, man, it's crazy. The webinar that we created that launched Cashflow Tactics, the webinar that Russell Brunson told us, we've split tested it over and over and over and over again. But for the last 5 years, that webinar was our leading driver of how we generated new clients. Wow. Now, in the last 8 months, 10 months, it's been like the performance has been going down and down and down. And so we've been now spot checking, a VSL's shorter form content, you know, right to a actual phone conversation versus a 90-minute webinar. And that's actually doing better. So today we just recorded a whole new platform of VSL content that we're going to start testing on the front end, to where people can, you know, get a 15-minute message versus an hour and a half message. So but you have to constantly be testing and iterating. I mean, our offer is still the exact same. Nothing has changed about our core business, but whether we're getting people now on social media with stories, or we're getting people from referrals and we've built a referral process, or we're getting people from a VSL or a 90-minute webinar or a 5-day challenge, we've tried them all. And all of them have merits and different, you know, conversion metrics, but they all plug into a core offer. So the best part about that is once you get that core offer not nailed in and dialed in, and you're getting real results that you can market, then you might have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 different ways that you're plugging new business into it. Yeah. But the business gets easier because once, like the 5 years of running that webinar, that's just been running in the background. You know, I did 18 months every single week, and I only missed 1 week in 18 months. That's how, just like you guys got your message down every single week on Thursday, just the Russell Brunson method. I did it for 18 months straight, only missed Christmas week. That was the only week I missed in 18 months.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
I didn't do it. But like, that's what nailed the message in. And that's been driving consistent leads for 5 years. And we've just plugged in and added additional things to it. So I don't know if there's one way to do it. There's hundreds of ways to get new leads, but it's having that core offer that all new leads come to the same outcome.
Yeah. I like what you mentioned about testing and iterating, right? And that's what we talk about with content as well. When people are like, okay, well, like, what is the result of this? Like what type of content, etc. Like all the questions were like, well, the audience is going to let us know. Like we can tell you something right now, but like we need to weigh what the response is. Like, do they actually like this content? Right? Like yes or no. Like, do you want something that is super produced, but nobody's going to watch? Sure, if that's what you want, we can put it out there. But at the end of the day, the goal is to drive attention and awareness to your business and traffic. And they are going to vote by the time they spend looking at this stuff, right? And I love what you said and making emphasis on testing and iterating, because I feel like a lot of people don't really do that. They're like, oh, this person said this is going to work. Let me just do that. And then they're just letting other people do the thinking for them, right? And at the end of the day, you need to look at your business and you guys follow these KPIs. And I'm pretty sure within your 90-day plans, you guys are like, okay, we're going to test X amount of channels for acquisition and different methods. And then we're going to compare them. And then we're going to see which one we're going to push or iterate on and better, right?
Yeah. And Fonzie, to that point, I think entrepreneurs, we have a warped perception of the amount of effort and work it takes to get people's attention today and to keep people's attention long enough for them to pull out their wallet. We just have, we're so used to things being done instantaneously that a new entrepreneur doesn't realize, hey, if you've got a new product and you're trying to carve out a new pathway in an overcrowded marketplace, you might need to run, 18 months running a webinar, my friends, 18 months. And there were weeks that I ran the webinar where 10 people would show up. But did I say, it's not working? No, I did it. We learned from it. Yep. We did it again next. We tested, iterated until, oh my gosh, it worked.
Yes.
And I think that's the number one thing that I've learned over this last 10, 11 years, especially entering the digital marketing space, is being able to focus on one thing and following that all the way to the end to really validating and vetting, did it work or did it not? It's like, how would I know a webinar didn't work if I only ran it one time? I would have no idea. It didn't work that one time, but does that mean a webinar doesn't work? No, that means I didn't work the webinar process. Yeah. So that's really what it comes down to, is having a focus and a commitment to doing one thing for a sustained period of time where you're working with real data, not just a mental perception of what you think the data is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people, we go back to when we launched the show, right? The show for us was the thing that became our system, right? And before that, we were, in that treadmill trying different things, shiny object syndrome everywhere, right? Like message here, message that, do this, do that. This is a new hot trend, a new hot thing, right? And we did not grab traction. We were struggling. We had like 5 different things that we were selling. We didn't know. And that's when, we invested with Steve and their team, and it really helped us out at the time. But then COVID happened and we were serving small businesses and they all closed. And so we're like, well, what are we actually going to do that? And then we decided to launch the show. And a lot of the questions that we get now is like, how do we actually monetize the show, right? And a lot of the perception is, hey, the show is, big on sponsorships, or you guys are part of the Hotspot network, or the money's coming from the audience. And for us, the answer was relationships, the relationships that we're building through the show. And, it's been moments in the last 3 years where we deviated a little bit from that. And you see it in the bottom line, right? We're like, wow, like, why are we not selling this month? Like, what's happening, right? Oh, this person canceled or XYZ, and it's like, how we've been like doing the thing that we did, that we said that we were going to do with the show, and invest in our relationships, in JVs, in collaborations, right? Which is, the thing that worked at the beginning. And we always go back to like, we need to like go back to the core thing that we do, right? And then start testing on the other side as well, different things that might work. But the core thing, never let it go. And for us, like, it's been like 3 times. It's like, we don't learn, right? We're like, oh boy, again, here we are, right? So I encourage everybody, like, once you find that one thing, right, that you are consistently doing, that you can improve, that you feel comfortable. For us, this is our vehicle, right? Like, we always say, if something goes down, the show stays up no matter what. Like, we're going to be doing it from the phone. I don't know where we're going to be doing it from, but this is the thing that we actually love doing, and that translates into results as well. And sometimes we got to do things that maybe we don't enjoy doing, and then we learn from them, and then we evolve that into a result. So I love this, right? Because today we live in a world, there's so many distractions, right? What do we do? And at the end of the day, it's like, what is your framework that you're going to go execute day in and day out, so you can get the results and you can get the people, so you can help them and serve them, right? Like everybody's doing. So
love that, Luis. Love it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I'm curious on what's next for you guys. What do you guys got on that 90-day goal? What's next?
Yeah, you know what? I've got 2 things. One, I can't quite like I've about got the contract signed. I thought I had it signed last week, but I'll have it signed this week. In fact, today I'm meeting with this individual, but we are producing a book and a document, not a document, but really more than anything, it's going to be a video series with one of the biggest names in our industry. He's been our mentor for the last several years. So we're doing a book contract with him, and it's going to be really exciting. So that's number one. Number two, many of the people I'm sure that you follow you guys. We've got a JV that we just lined up with Brian Delaney.
Yes.
We're really grateful. You mentioned relationship capital. Man, I can't tell you how powerful that and relevant that actually is. Mm-hmm. One of the easiest things to do to start a business, and it takes people a long time to learn this, is the solution is who. Like when you're stuck, It's not how, it's finding the right who has done the exact thing that I'm stuck with. How do I go align with that person? And then the how gets infinitely easier because you're aligning with a who's already done exactly what you want to do. So that's how we actually launched Cashflow Tactics. We hired a guy named Brian Delaney. We said, hey, Brian, we've been in business now for 6 years. We get awesome results, but we cannot for the life of us figure out how to put this thing that Russell talks about, a funnel, together. And so, we partnered with him for a year. That's how we launched Cashflow Tactics. And I'm so grateful for him. And we're actually joining forces again here in July. And this is going to be specifically for entrepreneurs. It's called the Sovereign Entrepreneur Challenge. Oh, wow. And it all relates to financial freedom. I believe with every fiber of my being that it is critically important for entrepreneurs today to be sovereign, to be free, to where they understand that their best investments is their business that provides real value and solves a real problem in a very conflicted world today. That's their best investments. But to become sovereign, it's not just about making money and making a difference. It's about holding on to the money that you're making, paying as little as you absolutely have to in taxes, right? The tax code is written to tell you how to not pay taxes instead of giving all your money away. So making money, keeping money, and then multiplying and creating cash flow with the money that you've made independent of your business, so that when you show up in your business, you're making the best possible decisions out of abundance versus scarcity. Yeah. Too oftentimes entrepreneurs back themselves into a corner and they violate their core beliefs. They violate their core product. They violate what they really set up the business to be because they're in scarcity, right? Where are the sales going to come from to pay payroll this week? So I'm going to sell anything. I'm going to damage my reputation in the marketplace because I have no money in the bank account. Mm-hmm. You have to be free with assets that produce income independent of your business so that you can show up in your business and do what's right for the customer that you care about every single time. And sometimes that results in not making profit immediately, but that's how you build a brand and that's how you build an empire.
Yeah. So good. All right, Ryan, I'm going to share a story real fast to illustrate, because I remember Brad talking in this conversation, right? And the tax code, that blew my mind. I had no idea. Obviously, we're not from here originally, so that's all new to us. But my perception changed in a way where I was on a road trip with my wife, my mother-in-law, and we were coming from Orlando to where we live in Jacksonville. It's about a 2-hour drive, right? And I tend to dream when I'm driving. I'm like, oh my gosh, the land, the house, the thing, the soccer field that we're going to have next to the house so we can play with the kids, and the pool and the thing, and, racing cars and whatever, right? We go there, right? And when FONZI and I go on road trips, that's 5 hours of dreaming, which is great. But then I was dreaming with my wife and my mother-in-law, which are not used to that, right? My wife is a pharmacist. She's always, very typical education, same thing, right? Not financially educated like you guys are. And I was talking about how I wanted to build my dream house, right? And I was going to all the and it's not a massive house. It's I want entertainment room and for the kids and open and very custom, right? Here in the States, for some reason, there's a lot of copy paste houses and I don't like that. So I was this is what I wanted to look. And I want, an outside gym, and we want the pool and a place for my parents to be here, right? And the immediate reaction of my wife and my mother-in-law, which I love dearly, they both were but how much is that going to cost? That's insane for them. They couldn't see it, right? They couldn't see it. And I was I don't know. I guess we'll figure out probably a couple million. I don't know. It won't be $100,000, right? And immediately when I made that comment, they were that's impossible, right? And I think that is what most people are thinking today. We're not dreaming big enough because of the constraints that, we're current, in their current reality at the moment, or perception, right? And it's maybe they don't know what they don't know. But the fact that I made a decision to where like, I'm going to build a business, I'm going to build a brand, I'm going to create my own opportunities, right? That we did early in life. Like we're like, maybe I don't like to work in logistics and administration, whatever. Like this is what I want to do. That was the initial reaction, right? But that gave me the vehicle to actually go out and dream and be like, anything is really possible, right? So why not go there? So what you guys are offering, not just with your message, your content, your education, but your products, allows people to get there. So I want to encourage every single person that is listening to the podcast, go dream, right? Go like, what's your crazy dream? And then work backwards from there. And it is possible, like you said, to be free. What does that mean to you, right? Does that mean more travel? Does that mean your home? Does that mean a new car? Does that mean a new podcast? Who knows, right? And I think that's so powerful today. So I just want to say thank you, because like that, I relate what Brad said and what we experienced that day to that moment. And here's the good news, Ryan. The other day I came downstairs and my wife was talking to Madison, FONZI's girlfriend, and they were talking about buying land and where are we going to build that house, right? And I just sat there and I was
planted that seed, man. I love that.
And it was so good. It felt so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're on board, right? And that's amazing because now we're aligned, right? As a family to go and get that, right? Which is so important. So anyways.
Luis, if I can share one thing on that, what you just said is the critical missing component for most people's success. That really is. And in a world of how-tos, in a world of tactics, in a world of all the information in the world is right here in our hands, human beings have forgot how to have a dream. We forgot it. We don't know how to do it. And especially adults, we have to train our mind again. And so when people come into our world, they think they're going to get the tactics and the finances and how to do this and how to do that. We don't do any of that. In fact, we hold all of that behind a wall of clarity. And that clarity that clarity comes from answering 3 clear questions. And it's important that all of us have this, and it's important that all of us revisit the answers to these questions as our belief in ourselves grows and expands. But what do you want? And that question is so simple. But man, I have asked that question thousands of times. And with very few exceptions, can someone tell me what they actually want? They have a very nebulous idea, if anything. Yeah. And usually what they tell me, if I force them to answer it, is they tell me all the things that they don't want. So what do you want? You have to be very, very clearly defined on what it is. Is it a dollar amount in your bank account? Awesome. How much? By when? What do you want? Then why? So clarity in your mind, now clarity in your heart. Why do you want it? A lot of the things that we're chasing, our heart isn't aligned with our mind. We're chasing it because we think that's going to bring us happiness or solution. So what do you want and why do you want it? My friends, if you can answer those 2 critical questions, just like you just said, you plant a seed of possibility in your subconscious mind that will start working independent of your conscious ability to recognize what's going on. But the third question is where freedom actually lies. The third question is, who must you become? The only difference between that dream home that you now have a clear picture of, and now your wife is also dreaming of, and your mother-in-law is dreaming of now, is you have to become the person capable of creating enough value in the marketplace that has the results to show for it in terms of money and profit in your bank account that can then fund that thing. Who must you become? And that person will not become who they need to become unless there's clarity around what do I want and why does it matter? So if you can answer those 3 questions, then life turns into a never-ending journey of excitement. It's an adventure of what do I want? Why do I want it? Who do I become? What do I want? Why do I want it? Who must I become?
So good.
Wow.
So good.
I'm just going to say,
on fire, baby.
We're going to have to bring you back because I have a lot of questions. Oh, the music came out. What's up?
What happened?
We're going to have to bring you back because I have so many questions. Honestly, on the mindset side, I feel like we can have an episode just on mindset. Yeah. I wanted to go back to and ask a little bit about, what was it for you 11 years ago when you were starting? You said that you guys were kind of like quitting on and off, right? And I want to hear about those struggles because now I hear you speak, and in my mind, I was like, I want to speak like that. I want to have so much clarity, so much certainty on the message, right? That when I speak, people believe, right? What we're talking about, they're like, this is it. Like it's like a magnet, man. Like I hear you talking, I'm like, I want to hang out with these people. These are the type of people, right? Like I want to go to the Narrows and have an expedition. There with them.
Let's go, Fonzie.
Yeah. So, dude, and I would love to, again, eventually at some point bring you back and talk mindset, talk about those challenges. Maybe go a little bit deeper on those type of things. We can shed some tears and everything. Tears are allowed.
There's a lot of them to shed, dude. We'll go back to the challenges, but the challenges create the reality that you want. We can't run away from them. We have to face them. And that's why it's so important to know what do you want and why does it matter? Because inevitably in your journey as an entrepreneur, you are going to face the most difficult challenges that a human being can possibly face. You face those as an entrepreneur on a very frequent basis, especially if you do the type of planning that I talked about. You condense decades into years. So you're going to go through this journey of facing challenges and learning the lessons over and over and over again. Unless you know why you're doing it, you'll quit.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Ryan, I want to say thank you for coming. Is there anything that you want to add before we head out?
Nah, my friends, it's a pleasure and honor to be here. I love the commitment, the message, the fun that you bring to the world of entrepreneurship. It's tremendously needed. I believe entrepreneurship is the solution to the world's problems. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you, Ryan.
Man, I appreciate it. Fonzie, anything else?
Nah, just grateful, man. It was awesome having you here. Finally, we're like, we need to read the cash flow tactics tip.
Just took us 3 years.
Just took us 3 years.
It's all good. It was a perfect moment.
First of many. First of many.
Yes. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning to the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BIZBROS Go.
That is Ryan, and Ryan here, help you move one step closer towards your goal. Please don't forget to share this episode because you might be doing the same exact thing for somebody else. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.